We make things. We use our hands, minds, and machines to build, to fix, to improve. We're known as do-it-yourselfers, home improvement fans, fix-it fanatics, inventors. At our core, though, we're all makers. So let's jump in and make something. Hi, I'm Ron Hazelton. Today's house call takes me to the home of two radio personalities who want to add charm and a romantic setting to their bedroom with a ventless gas fireplace. Then I turn up the temperature right here in my own shop by installing a heater made just for the purpose. Stick with me. You'll be glad you did.
95 northbound, State Police on the scene. I'm Ann Ron-DePierre. Weeby 108 first, fast, accurate traffic.
Good morning, Storm and Norman. It's the Weeby Wake Up Morning Show. Sunny and very cold today. We'll have high about 25. And it is 8 right now at Weeby 108. We make an appeal this morning to Ron Hazelton. Now, Ron, if you're listening, my wife and I would like to see whether or not you can put in one of those beautiful ventless fireplaces in our bedroom to take the chill off these winter nights.
Now, how often do I get a house call request over the air and from Storm and Norman at that? I gotta check this out. Hey guys, how are you? Oh, snow, and more snow on the way here.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I heard you had a good sense of humor, so I just couldn't pass that up.
Well, Ron, this is it, our bedroom.
This is it, the Passion Palace.
Yes, kind of.
I can see it right now. You want to lie in bed, cold winter's evening, fireplace.
Sounds
I don't
good.
mind that myself. So this is where you're thinking about putting it?
We were hoping if we could get a corner unit, that this would be a nice spot to enjoy it from the bed or from our seating area.
Now, I'm trying to think whether we should go vent or ventless.
I'm leaning toward the ventless. The technology has been around for decades in Europe. It's been as well established here. It's safe, even for a bedroom. And then we avoid all that work, as you say, of putting holes in the ceiling and the wall. So why don't we get online, kind of just look around a little bit and see what's out there and what appeals to you.
Sounds good.
This is the Empire Comfort Systems website. This is their White Mountain Hearth collection. This is a vent-free fireplace right here.
Could it be painted?
Oh, sure. Okay. I think it comes in white. Hey guys, take a look at this, will you? Now, this is not an example of my cabinet making ability, but it will serve to give you some idea of what that unit you guys liked online might look like in here from a proportion standpoint.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, this is great.
I'm starting to be able to imagine it.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Fire, flames.
I can see it.
Okay.
I can feel it.
Now, what I want you to do, and I'm serious about this.
Okay.
But go over there and lie in bed for a second, will you? I want you to see how it looks to you from that perspective.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Is there any way we could maybe raise it up a little higher on a hearth or something so we could actually see the fire part?
Yeah, why don't we try that? Yeah, let's pick up each,
Okay.
grab an edge, and then we can slide this under. I got it. Is there something we can just take it up a little bit?
John Grisham okay?
Oh, he'd be proud to be part of this project. So what do you think?
I like that.
Now that we've settled on a height for our raised hearth, I head back to my shop and begin cutting out the pieces while Ann and Norm go back online and select their fireplace. A few days later it arrives and I head back to start the installation. My hearth kit has a top and 3 sides. Our first step is to attach some glue blocks along the edge.
This is like how I do on my hot dogs.
Bring this right up. We're going to nail right into that block we just put on. Okay, we'll pull this side up now.
All right, one more, huh?
Side number 3. What I did is I cut a couple of kind of corner braces to drop in here. So take your nail gun now and right down through here. Give me about 4.
Put your fingers.
Oh, gee! Ah! I'll let's do that once.
Little carpenter humor.
Okay, I say, let's give this a test fit, huh?
All right, let's spin it around. All set.
Okay.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
just got one little problem.
The baseboard is keeping the hearth from sitting tightly against the wall. So we turn the base bottom side up, clamp on a piece of scrap trim as a template, trace the outline, and cut out the shape with a jigsaw.
Wow. So this is what I would call a ledger. It's a piece of wood that we're going to attach to the wall to support the back of this. I'm right at the top of the board, right on that line. You got it? It should drop right in. Huh?
Well, our ledger's installed and we've got a snug fit all around. So we nail everything in place.
Well, Norman, here it is. Everything we need for your fireplace and mantel right here.
Oh, the good stuff.
The good stuff. And you're going to be amazed how easily this goes together.
We set the fireplace base on our raised hearth, place the firebox on top,
Set about halfway back.
and attach it in place with screws. Next, I attach the flexible gas line and tighten the connection. Then we remove the protective plastic from the metal trim, set the fireplace surrounds in position, and then the apron. Once again, we attach ledgers to the wall, then slide the fireplace assembly into position. Finally, we set the mantel on top and attach it to the ledgers.
All right. Huh? Solid?
Yeah,
Looks pretty good.
looks very official looking.
And back?
Honey? No, I don't think so.
Out here? You know where she is?
No, I think she went shopping. Get some
You
accessories.
think we should go forward without her taking a look at this?
No,
Really?
no,
Think she'll be long?
no. She
All right.
should be back pretty soon.
Oh, there's a rig.
So, thanks. You know, this is coming out really good. How's everybody?
The family?
Yeah,
Good.
that's
The
good.
little one. You know, I'm getting like that 2 hours of sleep every night.
Oh, you're gonna love that.
Yeah. I'll see your red anchor and I'll raise you an orange screw and a molly bolt.
It is.
Honey. Honey. You guys have been hard at work, I
Waiting.
can see.
Oh, yeah.
We always, you know, we
Yeah.
didn't really want to go ahead until you took a look at it. What do you think?
Wow.
Huh?
Okay, wait, let me block this out for a moment. Wow. I think
like
I
it?
really like it.
Well, this is the main reason I wanted to get your input here. Is what we're going to do up here. We can leave it just like this, but my thought is if we were to put some kind of a wall back here,
Right.
we might make this look more like there's actually a chimney there.
And that would come up flat.
Yeah, it would
Flush
come
with
up
the-
here,
yeah.
and I think it might sell the idea that this is more of a built-in fireplace.
And it would give me a nice spot to maybe hang a picture, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, now I didn't get that right away, but while I was sleeping, it came to me in a dream.
That nap paid off.
So, this is what I'm thinking of here. But just stand back and kind of look at that and see if you think you're going to like that better than just the wall. I'll put it up, and I'll take it down.
You know, Ron, I think I like it a lot better.
This time we put our ledger strips up vertically, nailing them into the wall studs. Then we position a piece of 1/2-inch plywood on top of the ledgers and nail it in place. Finally, we install drywall over the plywood
Look at that.
and secure it with screws. Next, I apply a bedding coat of joint compound to the seams. Tear off links of joint tape, dampen them in water, apply the tape to the seams, press it firmly into the compound using a putty knife, and finally snip off the excess. Now it's time to trim out our base with decorative edge molding and install baseboard. A couple of coats of paint, and Norm begins setting the logs in place. This is about the only wood carrying he'll have to do for this fireplace.
Wow.
Not only can we build good fireplaces, we're good interior decorators too. Look at that, will you?
Looks good,
Terrific.
guys.
Hey, Annie,
Annie,
how are
come
you?
on.
I've got
What do you
one
think?
more addition. I think it looks fantastic, but I got to see this.
Oh yeah, you wanted that wall so you could hang a picture on it.
Yes, I did.
There it is. Voila.
Nice, huh?
It looks great, Ron.
This calls for a toast. Let me go get the champagne. Hey, Nice fireplace. Certainly is nice to be here, lying,
This was a great idea.
looking.
Ready?
Ready.
Hey,
May I pour?
To the fireplace.
Thank you. Yes, and all the pleasure it may bring.
and the old Pleasure Palace. All right, how about one more thing?
Sure.
Would you mind locking the door on the way out?
Oh, sure. Ooh, it's chilly out there today. You know, this is my first winter here in the shop, and already it's become apparent I've got to have some heat out here. Now, I don't need to keep this at a constant temperature, that is a living temperature, but I do want to be able to get the heat up quickly when I need it. So, I've settled on this unit right here. It's called the Hot Dog. Now, this heater comes in 4 different sizes: 30,000 BTUs, 45,000 BTUs, 60,000, and 70,000 BTUs. This is the 60,000 BTU model right here, and this is the one that's the right size for my shop. So, let's get started. We're going to put this up. There we go. Now, this heater is designed to attach directly to the bottom of the joist, but in this case I want to mount it at an angle, so I've added a couple of 2x6s up here and lag screwed those into the joist. Now, since I'm going to be working alone today, one of the more challenging parts of this project may be hoisting this 80-pound heater up there where I'm going to attach it to those 2x6s. To start with, I've wrapped a couple of cargo straps around the case.
A little research leads me to a marine supply store where I check out things in the rigging department.
Now, to do the heavy lifting today, I've decided to use this marine block and tackle. It's designed to lift very heavy booms on sailing ships. Lightweight, very strong, a little pricey, but it's a lifetime tool. Now, I'm going to attach it to this 2x4 that I put up earlier.
The lower end of the block and tackle gets attached to the cargo straps. Then I hoist the 80-pound heater upward as easily as a sailor would raise a mainsail on a mizzenmast. Once in position, I clamp the mounting flanges and bore clearance holes. Next, I insert carriage bolts and finally twist on nuts and snug them tight with a socket wrench.
Now, this being a gas-burning appliance, I, of course, have got to exhaust those gases out of flue. So the first thing I'm going to do is attach this T-shaped piece of flue to the back of the furnace right here. And I'll attach that permanently a little bit later on. Now, there's going to be a second piece of pipe that'll go from the center of this flue right up through the roof. And that means we're going to have to cut a hole up there that's exactly on top of this one right here. So let's take a plumb bob. This is the best way to do this. I'm going to move it around up here until the plumb bob is centered directly over this flue. All right, now I'll make a mark right up here at the top of the plumb bob line, right there.
Next, I bore through the roof and insert a wire coat hanger.
Well, the coat hanger marks the spot. We won't need that anymore, so let me push this back down through here. Now what I want to do is draw a circle 6 inches in diameter. Now, this is a lumber crayon that I have in here.
I bore a 1/2-inch hole on the edge of the circle, insert the blade of a jigsaw, and make the cutout.
Well, this is the flashing that's going to make the watertight seal eventually around our flue. I'm going to set this about where I want it here, and that is I want to center the large opening down here on the bottom over that hole that we cut in the roof. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to reach inside with my lumber crayon. Be careful because this is sharp here. I'm going to trace the outline of this sort of oval-shaped base here.
Then, using a utility knife with a hooked blade, I cut along the mark that I just made. Next, I apply sealant to the lower shingles where the base will be sitting on top. Then I slide the flashing underneath the upper shingles and into the circular cutout. Finally, I secure the flashing base with roofing nails.
This is double-walled vent pipe. The inner liner is aluminum, the outside is galvanized steel. Now the idea is that even though there are hot gases passing through this pipe, the outer jacket remains cool. So what I'm going to do is pass this up through that flashing we put on earlier.
The lower end of the pipe I connect to the vent coming out of the back of the heater. The joints are held together with couplings that snap into place. Back up on the roof, I slip a weather ring over the top of the vent and slide it down to the top of the flashing. Finally, I set the vent cap in place and apply sealant to the nail heads. With everything finished on the roof, I go back inside to make the electrical connections. Next, I apply thread sealant to the gas pipe sections, tighten them together, and finally connect the flexible gas line. I installed the main part of the gas line and shutoff valve earlier.
I've installed a programmable thermostat because out here in the garage workshop I don't need heat all the time, just when I'm working. And the nice thing about this one is if I'm coming to work at 9 o'clock, I can set this to bring the heat up around 8:30. Well, I can't tell you how glad I am that I put this unit in. In the few weeks since I've installed it, the temperature hasn't gotten above freezing. And this heater has done a great job of giving me heat where I want it, when I want it. The toughest thing about gluing something like this broken china dish is clamping or holding the pieces together while the glue dries. That's why this is a perfect application for cyanoacrylates. Now, these are sometimes called instant glues, but they're very easy to use. In this case, I'm just going to put some glue on this edge here. I'm not going to make any effort to smooth this out. Actually, what I kind of want is a sort of a little bead going here. But I do want it to be continuous because this is going to have to hold liquids. All right. Now that's on. I'm going to press these two pieces together. Just hold them just like this. Now the thing about cyanoacrylates is they come in different thicknesses. Generally speaking, the more coarse or porous the material, the thicker glue you'll want to use. You'll also want to use the thicker glues on plastics. Now this particular one that I'm using takes about 10 to 15 seconds to set up. So I should be able to let go of this and have a repair. Now the truth is I want to wait about 24 hours for this to reach maximum hardness. So before I put this back into use, I'll let it sit on the shelf overnight.
To view today's projects again and countless more, go to HouseCallsDIY.com. Step-by-step home improvement tips when you need them.
I'm Brian Kelsey. Welcome to House Calls.
Join us as we tackle some great home projects, as well as look back at favorites from Ron Hazelton on House Calls.